Hi, I want to talk about haunted Cuba Road. Now, there's a cemetery on Cuba Road, and many people say it's haunted. They say that there are white, I guess, lights or globulars that appear. Now, I had done a video on this on my Library Kids channel, and during the day I did catch some white light globulars. But I went back, and I went back during dusk, and I didn't catch any of that. So it's possible that what people are catching are reflections off of the tombstone, but it is a little bit of a creepy feeling. Now, in addition to these light globulars, people say there is a phantom car that appears. And I had done research on my previous video about the Battle of Barrington. And the Battle of Barrington involves a Great Depression era gangster named Babyface Nelson. And it took place on November 27th, 1934, in the town of Barrington. And it resulted in the deaths of Babyface Nelson and FBI federal agent Herman Ed Hollis and agent inspector Samuel P. Cowley. And there was a plaque that was put up at the Barrington Park District, but they took it down. But it referred to the 1934 shootout that claimed the lives of two FBI agents and the death of the notorious Chicago gangster Babyface Nelson. Now, the gunfight began on Highway 12, which is Rand Road. On the morning of November 27th, Babyface Nelson, sporting a thin mustache on his youthful face, and Helen Gillis, Nelson's loyal wife, and John Paul Chase, Nelson's trusted right hand man, departed Lake Geneva and traveled south towards Chicago on U.S. Route 12, which is now U.S. 14. Nelson planned to meet two underworld figures in Chicago and had reasoned daylight the safer time to travel, as agents would expect them during an evening departure. Now, near the village of Fox River Grove, Illinois, Nelson observed a vehicle driven in the opposite direction. Inside the car were federal agents Thomas McDade and William Ryan. McDade and Ryan were heading to Lake Geneva to support a fellow agent who had relayed an encounter with Nelson. The agents and the gangsters recognized each other at the same time, and after several U turns by the agents and by Nelson, Babyface Nelson wound up in a pursuit of the federal car. Now, Nelson's powerful V8 Ford motor car, driven by Helen Gillis, quickly caught up to the weaker federal sedan. Nelson and Chase opened fire on the agent's vehicle. Incredibly, McDade and Ryan were not killed or injured. The agents returned fire, and then they sped ahead and ran off the highway. Hurriedly taking defense positions, McDade and Ryan awaited Nelson and Chase. The agents were, however, unaware of a round fired by Ryan that had punctured the water pump and possibly the radiator of Babyface Nelson's Ford. With this Ford rapidly losing power, Babyface Nelson was now pursued by the Hudson automobile, driven by two more agents, Herman Hollis and Samuel P. Cowley. Now, with these new pursuers attempting to pull alongside, Nelson instructed Helen Gillis to pull into the entrance of Barrington's North Side Park, just across from Fox River Grove. She skidded to a halt. Hollis and Cowley overshot Nelson's Ford by about 100 feet. With their car stopped and at an angle, Hollis and Cowley exited. They took defensive positions behind the vehicle as Helen Gillis fled towards a drainage ditch. They opened fire on Nelson and Chase. Within seconds of the gun battle starting, a round from Cowley's Thompson submachine gun struck Nelson above his belt line. The 45 caliber bullet tore through Nelson's liver and pancreas and exited from his lower back. 9 bullets from Cowley's submachine gun struck Nelson, apparently to no effect, in the chest and stomach, before Nelson mortally wounded Cowley, while pellets from Hollis's shotgun struck Nelson in the legs and momentarily downed him. As Nelson regained his feet, Hollis, possibly already wounded, retreated behind a utility pole. With his shotgun empty, Hollis drew his second revolver, only to be struck by a bullet, unfortunately, to the head from Nelson's Winchester. Hollis slid against the pole and fell face down. Nelson stood over Hollis for a moment. Nelson backed the agent's car over to the Ford and, with Chase's help, loaded the agent's car with guns and ammo from the disabled Ford. After the weapons transfer, Nelson collapsed. Chase got behind the wheel, and along with Helen Gillis and the mortally wounded Nelson, they left the scene. Nelson had been shot a total of 17 times. 9 submachine gun slugs had struck his torso, and 8 shotgun pellets had torn into his legs. After telling his wife that he was done for, Nelson gave directions as Chase drove him to a safe house on Walnut Street in Wilmette, Illinois. Nelson died in a bed there, and his wife at his side at 7:35 that evening. Hollis, with massive head wounds, was declared dead soon after arriving at the hospital. Cowley hung on long enough to confer briefly with Melvin Purvis, telling him nothing would bring Nelson down. He went unfortunately unsuccessful surgery before succumbing to a stomach wound similar to Nelson's. Following an anonymous tip, Nelson's body was discovered wrapped in a Native American patterned blanket in front of St. Peter Catholic Cemetery in Skokie, Illinois, which still exists today. Helen Gillis later stated that she had placed the blanket around Nelson's body as she said, he had always hated being cold. So now, babyface Nelson was dead, and so were 2 FBI agents. So what was the fate of Helen Gillis and John Paul Chase? Well, newspapers reported, based on the questionable wording from J. Edgar Hoover, that the Bureau of Investigation had issued a death order for Nelson's young widow, who wandered the streets of Chicago as a fugitive for several days, described in print as America's first female public enemy. After surrendering on Thanksgiving Day, Helen Gillis, who had been paroled after capture at Little Bohemia Lodge, served a year in prison for harboring her late husband. Chase was apprehended later and served a term at Alcatraz. So they were driving around this area and shooting at each other. So it's possible that this reported phantom car has to do with one of these vehicles. Babyface Nelson died and 2 FBI agents died. Now, like I said, I have seen some orbs during the day. I'm going to put some of the previous videos pictures up, but when I went back, I did not see anything. The history of the cemetery also includes some very old graves, 18th and 19th century. So you can go to some of my other videos or my previous video on the subject to look at the detail of the graves in that cemetery. But basically, I think that you have a cemetery and you have the scene of the Battle of Barrington, and that probably is what accounts for the white orbs and the phantom car. Thank you. That is my talk on Haunted Cuba Road. Those are the angels, and this is the lion. Just want to show you, as I did in my other video, these are very old tombs from the 1800s. But they're still doing a pretty good job maintaining this cemetery. There's newer graves as well as some of these old ones. It's a little bit cold today. Just take a look at this really little one. This thing looks old. Well, you can't really tell what that's used to say, but I'm sure it's very old. Okay. Just a quick panoramic. And somebody's here visiting the cemetery at the same time I am. So I don't want to talk too much. Okay. So we're gonna head out. That's the side. White Memorial Cemetery, Cuba Township. And this is the road that Babyface Nelson and his cohorts were being chased by the FBI. So that might explain the phantom car that people occasionally see, as well as the ghost lights in the cemetery. I'm gonna shut this off.